Hi there! In this video I'm going to be talking to you about how to do unit conversions. We're going to start with just US units like this, then we'll talk about metric units, and then eventually we'll move into talking about energy unit conversions. But we'll start with this first example problem here. We've got a bunch of conversion factors. I'll show you how to use those to convert from units to units. I'll show you a general approach that will work always regardless of the units you're talking about. So, the first problem here is we have 565,900 seconds, and we want to convert that into days. So to do a unit conversion problem, you'll start by rewriting the number you have with its units. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to multiply it in such a way that we don't change its value. So that means we have to multiply by 1. That's the only way to multiply by something that keeps its value. But we are going to choose a clever form of 1. A form of 1 that allows this number to look different in different units, even though it has the same value. These SIFUs as our clever form of 1. In this case, the clever form of 1 we're going to multiply by is the conversion factor between seconds and we'll eventually get to days, but we'll do seconds to minutes, minutes to hours, then hours to days. And so we have seconds in the numerator right now. We can think of this as being seconds over 1. And so we need to cancel that out. So we're going to put seconds in our denominator. And to eventually get to days, we want to upgrade that to minutes. And we'll worry about the number values in a second. But right now I'm just going to line up the units. Well, let's do the numbers actually. Seconds and minutes. It's in 1 minute. There are 60 seconds. And we keep going like this. We're not ready yet. We now have our value in minutes, but we want it in days. So we've got minutes there in the numerator. We are going to put a minutes down here in the denominator with our next SIFU. This is still 1, but we're going to go from minutes to hours. And in 1 hour, there are 60 minutes. And this is 1 because when you take the ratio of 1 hour to 60 minutes, those are the same thing, so same thing divided by same thing gets you 1. We now have hours, we want days, so the last step here to do this conversion is to say, all right, we have hours in the numerator, we're going to need to cancel it, so we put it in the denominator, and then we can end up with days. And I do this, I know these conversions. I know that in 1 day, there is 24 hours. And so now I'm going to double check myself real quick. The unit we want in the end is days, so let's make sure that's the only unit left after all of these conversions with all of these SIFUs, all of these clever forms of 1. I have seconds in the numerator here. That will cancel with the seconds in the denominator there. I have minutes in the numerator here, which will cancel with the minutes in the denominator there. I have hours in the numerator here, which will cancel with the hours in the denominator there. And I have days here, which has nothing to cancel, and that's good because I want my value in days. And so I'm ready to now grab my calculator and do some calculating. And so in this particular case, I'm going to turn my calculator on. I'm going to start with the number, which is 565,900. And I'm going to multiply by all of those conversion factors. So times, get our fraction going. Let's see, that'll be control fraction. That'll give me the fraction. It'll be 1 divided by 60. Move out of that. Times, again, control division sign gives me the fraction bar. We can do 1 divided by 60 again. Times, I realize I'm off the screen a little bit for that bit. To get the fraction, it's control and then the division symbol. So control division gives me a fraction over 24. I want to make sure that what I have typed in my calculator matches what I have on the page. 565,900 times 1 over 60 times 1 over 60 times 1 over 24. I think I'm ready to press enter, enter. I should have done control. Enter gives me approximately equals to, and when I do that, I end up with an approximate 6 I have 4 sig figs, 6.550 6.550. What is this in? Days. And that's the idea behind unit conversion. We want to keep the value the same. This many days is that many seconds. That's the same number expressed in different units. And so to keep it the same, we're multiplying by clever forms of 1. Let's try the second one together. 17 years into minutes. So I'm going to start with 17 years. And I get all the way to minutes. I don't know how many minutes are in 1 year, so I can't do that directly, but I do know how many days are in a year. So I'll start there. I have years over 1 right now, so I want to cancel that years out. I'm going to put it in the denominator of my Sifu. And I know the conversion from years to days. And in fact, I know that 1 year is 365 days, or if we include the fact that there are leap years, we can say that there's 365.25 days in 1 year. All right, so I now have this set up to convert to days. I'm not yet at minutes. I don't know how many minutes are in a day, but I do know how many hours are in a day. So I'm going to put day in the denominator here to cancel that day in the numerator. And I am going to put hours up there. And I know that there are 24 hours in 1 day. Next, I do know how many minutes are in an hour. Minutes are in an hour. So 1 Sifu away from being done here. Minutes is what I'm looking for in the end. I have hours already in the numerator, so I need to put an hours there in the denominator so that they cancel. And I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. I'm going to go through and make sure everything cancels except for the unit that's my goal, which is minutes. I have years in the numerator there and denominator there, so those will divide to 1. I have days in the numerator there and days in the denominator there, so that will divide to 1. I have hours in the numerator there, hours in the denominator there, that will divide to 1. And so I'm left with 17 times 365.25 times 24 times 60. So I can type all of that into my calculator. And when I do that, I end up with 17 times 365.25 times 24 times 60. And that equals, I'm going to do approximately, oh, I can do exactly equals here, 8.94132 E6. This E6, the E stands for exponent, is scientific notation. This is calculator speak for 8.94132 times 10 to the 6th power. So when I go to write that here, I'm going to write just 2 sig figs because 17 was my original number. So 8.9. E means times 10 to the, and then 6 means 6th power. So that's 8.9 times 10 to the 6th minutes are in 17 years to 2 significant figures. So overall, that's what my calculator looked like when I did this calculation. Those were the time ones. Let's go ahead and do miles to feet next. 43 miles into feet. I'm going to start by rewriting my number. I'm going to go ahead and write the unit as miles over 1. Now I'm going to multiply by clever forms of 1 until I have it converted to feet. I don't have these conversion factors memorized, but they are at the top of this piece of paper. So let's go look. Where is anything about miles in this list? Well, I do see here that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. And I'm looking for feet, so that looks like it's going to be a one-step conversion. I have miles in the numerator, so I need to put miles in the denominator here so it will cancel. And I want feet in the end. And I just read from the conversions on top that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Miles will cancel with miles, and I'm left just with feet, which is the unit I wanted. So, this one's pretty straightforward. I will grab my calculator, type in 43 times 5280, press enter, and I end up with 227040. But I only have 43 miles to two significant figures, so I'm going to write this as 230,000. 230,000 feet in 43 miles. All right, and the process looks the same for all unit conversions. I do want to do one later on down the road here. That's a speed conversion. Let's do this first one here, 60 miles per hour into meters per second, because this one's a little bit more involved. So I'm going to start off the same way, 60, and my units are miles per hour. So I'm going to write this as miles in the numerator. Per means to divide by, hour. And now I really have two conversions I need to do. I need to do miles to meters, and I need to do hours to seconds. So there's really two conversions that need to be done here. It doesn't matter what order you do them in, I'm going to choose to do the miles first. I need to get from miles to meters. That's going to be a multi-step process. Let me bring the conversion chart over here. All I know, let's look for a path to get there. I know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. I know that there's 12 inches in a foot. And I know inch is 5 centimeters. So that looks like a path. That looks like a path I could get there. Or there's a more direct path. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. And there's 3.28 feet in 1 meter. And so we can use those two conversions. First, I'll go from miles to feet. Multiplying again, just by a clever form of 1. I have miles in the numerator, so I need to cancel it with miles in the denominator. And I'm going to use the fact that there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So I now cancel, have feet, but I want meters in the end. But this conversion chart says that there are, let's say I have feet in the numerator, so I want to cancel it with feet in the denominator, and I want meters in the end. So I know that there's 3.28 feet in 1 meter. Feet divides with feet, and we're left with just meters in the end. So I have successfully converted miles to meters, but I'm not done because I also need to convert hours into seconds. And so I'm going to keep going now, and we're going to work with the hours part of this. I have hours in the denominator already, so I need to cancel it with an hours in the numerator. I don't know how many seconds are in an hour, but I do know how many minutes are in an hour, so I'm going to start with that. 1 hour has 60 minutes. And I go through and see hours in the denominator, cancels with hours in the numerator. And we're almost there because I also know that in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. And I'm choosing to put the minutes in the numerator because I need to cancel the minutes that were already in the denominator. So this will divide. And what am I left with in the end? I'm left with meters in the numerator per seconds in the denominator, which is the unit I am looking for in the end. I am now ready to plug all of that into my calculator. And so I grab my calculator here. I'm typing in 60 times 5,280 over 1 is just 5,280 times I want a fraction here, and the way I'm going to do that again is control and then division symbol. Control division gives me the fraction, and the fraction that I want is 1 divided by 3.28. Oh, hold on. 1 divided by 3.28 times, this is again a fraction, control division, gives me 1 divided by 60, and again, times, control, enter, 1 divided by 60. And if I press enter on that, or give me approximately equals to actually, I get 26.8293. I only had one significant figure in 60 miles per hour, so I'm just going to write this as 30 meters per second. And again, meters never canceled, so it's in the numerator, and seconds down here in the denominator never canceled, so it's in the denominator. All right, at this point in the video, I am done explaining new things. I am going to do one more speed conversion here. You are looking for another example. If you feel like you've got it, you can start going ahead and working on practice now. But if you want one more and do 1,100 feet per second into miles per hour. So video with this example here. Again, I'll start with 1,100 feet per means division. Second, I want feet into miles, and I want seconds into hours. Let's start with the feet. I know that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile now, because I've been using that conversion factor enough for this video. Feet's in the numerator, so I want it to cancel with feet in the denominator, and I want it to go into miles. And now it's not 5,280 miles in a foot, it's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Feet will cancel with feet, and I'm left with miles, which is my desired distance unit. I'm now going to go from seconds to hours in the denominator. So I've got seconds in the denominator already, so I'll need to cancel it by putting a seconds in the numerator. I don't know how many seconds are in an hour, but I do know how many seconds are in a minute. Specifically, there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So the seconds that was already in the denominator will cancel with that seconds that I put in the numerator, and I'm left with the per minute, which is pretty good. But what I actually want is a per hour. And I do know how many minutes are in 1 hour. And I'm choosing to put the minutes in the numerator to cancel with those minutes in the denominator there, leaving me with an hour in the denominator in the end. And it was, in fact, 60 minutes in 1 hour. I'm now ready to plug into a calculator here. And what I end up with is 1,100. Make a fraction, I don't want that, times, make a fraction, 1 over 5,280 times 60 over 1 is just 60, times 60 over 1 is just 60. And you end up with 750, and I had 2 sig figs, so that works out. That is 750 miles is the distance unit that never canceled, and hours is the time unit that never canceled. 750 miles per hour. So there we go. That is how we do unit conversions. In general, it's always multiplying by these clever forms of 1. Thank you for watching and learning with me. I hope this was helpful.